Hello, I'm Dr Beth Colby from Talk Mental Health, a psychiatrist in London. Today I'm going to talk about section 3741 of the Mental Health Act. Section 3741 is a hospital order with an added restriction order on it. A Crown Court can order hospital admission instead of a criminal sentence to a person who has committed an offence which is punishable by a prison sentence, and if the person is mentally disordered and requires treatment in hospital. Two doctors need to sign the papers, one of whom must be a Section 12 approved doctor. Section 37 has no end date, unlike a prison sentence, and after the first 6 months can be renewed for 6 months and then a year after. However, if a Section 41 restriction order is added to a Section 37, then the patient cannot be discharged from hospital without the authority of the Ministry of Justice. Therefore, a Section 37 does not need to be renewed. However, the responsible officer will need to write an annual report to the Ministry of Justice on the progress of the patient. A Section 41 will be added to the Section 37 in court if the mentally disordered offender is liable to be at risk to the population at large. In deciding this, the court will look at the nature of the offence, the events leading up to it, and whether the offender is at risk of committing further offences if set at large. That is, that the offender would cause serious harm to the public, and therefore this is for the protection of the public. The name restriction means that the patient and also the responsible clinician are restricted in what they can do. The responsible clinician cannot authorise Section 17 leave for a patient with a restriction order. They would need to get this from the Ministry of Justice, having completed a form with information about the patient's mental state and their progress. And the Ministry of Justice is likely to authorise a small amount of leave that is escorted for a short period of time first, and then it will gradually be increased as the patient remains well and has been shown to be safe in the community with the previous Section 17 leave. This is a lengthy process, and patients on Section 3741 may be in hospital for years at a time, or indeed may never be discharged from hospital. Depending on the nature of the offence, the court may also order a patient to be admitted to a low secure, medium secure or high secure unit. The responsible clinician also is not able to transfer the patient to another hospital from the one that they've been admitted to without the authorisation of the Ministry of Justice, and the patient will not be able to be discharged from their section without the authority of the Ministry of Justice. After such time as the patient has had long periods of leave without any problems, it may come to the point where a patient is discharged from hospital. There will be conditions on this, and the responsible clinician and the multidisciplinary team will need to look hard to find an appropriate placement for the patient that will support them to maintain their mental well-being. The Ministry of Justice may then decide to give the patient a conditional discharge, and the conditions will be where they live, that they may need to attend certain places to see particular mental health professionals at intervals required by the Ministry of Justice, and also to take medication. And they may also have to stay away from certain people in the community for the protection of these people. If the patient breaks any of the conditions, then they can be recalled to hospital and the conditional discharge will be taken away from them. As I said, it may take a number of years for a patient to get a conditional discharge, and this will depend on the nature of the index offence, their mental state, and whether they are perceived by the Ministry of Justice to continue to be dangerous or at risk to the population in the community. Eventually, a patient may get to the stage where they are given an absolute discharge from the Ministry of Justice, and they will not need to be bound by the conditions of the conditional discharge. Thank you for listening. You may be interested in some more videos that I've done on the Mental Health Act or on other mental health subjects. Bye for now.